I think it's safe to say, based on the games that we've seen, that Kaya is probably still the heavy favorites here and a lot to work on here if the other teams want to dethrone them.
That's right.
Oh, absolutely. Kaya have come from a really high standard of football. One of only 2 clubs that have been active, considering they were eligible and they've qualified for the AFC Champions League. And they really were a cut above the rest. They've set a good tempo and a standard. But I really kind of feel that ADT have switched on after that 2-0 defeat in the first game of the Copa. And they're definitely a team to watch out for. So yeah, all eyes on Kaya, but there's a lot to play for. It's a semi-final.
And Darren, what can you say about the young and hungry ADT heading and going head-to-head with the experienced Stallions?
Well, Stallions have got a really rich history, especially in the Cup. They've had successes. They're a difficult team to break down. But the thing is with ADT is you've got it exactly right. They're hungry. Everyone is out there not just trying to play for the Copa, but they're playing for their futures, their careers. And they'll be looking to, build on the slightly disappointing under-23 campaign and hopefully put some wins and perhaps the first silverware for what is a great youth development program for future ASCAOs.
And Darren, Paolo made a list here of the must-watch upcoming players here. And first off on our list, we have JARVEY GAYOSO scoring 5 goals recently. That's amazing. What can you say?
I think that there's that guy, we just have to watch him because he scored 5. In any level, that's going to be an incredible achievement. And of course, I think had JARVEY not scored the 5, I probably would have said maybe Sandro Reyes, maybe Oskari Kekkonen, the 2 midfielders who are starting to shine here for ADT. But Darren, with JARVEY starting to score goals, or at least becoming one of the more threatening members of this ADT team, how do you think he will be marked? How do you think that he has to play in the semifinals to just elevate another level?
Well, we know it's not easy to score 5 goals. It doesn't happen very often. And JARVEY, when he's happy, he's got the ball out in front of him, you have to mark him. Stallions have got 2 really good centre-backs from what I can see. But they're going to have their hands full with JARVEY. And all the time you're looking to cover JARVEY as well because he's so quick when he's running in those straight lines. That's going to give that space for Dennis Chong and, of course, another player that you mentioned, Sandro Reyes. And I think if you give JARVEY too much attention, you might be leaving space for Sandro and Dennis Chong to also combine. So it's going to be difficult for Stallions across the back to contain an ADT team that's just scored 9 goals.
And, Pao, we also have KENSHIRO Daniels of Kaya FC.
Yeah, so I picked Kenny Daniels because of the fact that a lot of people will be looking at Bedic up top. But then I think KENSHIRO Daniels has that goal-scoring threat that might be a difference maker in the semifinals.
And we...
Sorry, go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, I think, for me, KENSHIRO is going to be operating in a space which is just behind Bedic. And Bedic's going to have to deal with Wako Kanyas, who's an incredible defender playing alongside Jason Cordova, who's a tough guy. So yeah, I think you're right in picking KENSHIRO Daniels. Kenny, he's going to be the player who's going to be looking to make things happen.
How about Pao, and what can you say about Nathan ALQUIROS of Stallion FC?
Yeah, because I think Stallion will be busy. Probably the busier team defensively, busier team in the middle of the park in general, at least, looking at the lineups. I don't know if you agree with me here, Darren, but then I think Nathan and the rest of the midfield of Stallions, the onus will be on them to try and control the game a bit more against a side that really is hungry for it, as we mentioned a while ago. What do you think?
I think control is a great word to explain what Stallions need to do. They were playing very direct against Cebu. They were less experienced in terms of playing at this level, but ADT are a lot fitter. They're a little bit more match ready than what Cebu would be. And you're right, the player in the middle of the park really needs to hold things together. Big responsibility falls on Nathan ALQUIROS in the middle. But he's going to need support as well from the players just in front of him.
And last but not the least on your list, we have Wako Kanyas of Cebu.
Yeah, again, this Cebu team will probably be on the back foot, unfortunately, or at least based on the experience and against their opposition. and you're thinking about who will probably be one of the more busier guys back there, and that might be Joaco Cañas. Your thoughts on how defensively they're going to have to line up?
Well, we've seen Kaya playing. They're playing a 3-5-2. It suits the personnel that they have. They do look different when they've got Masato more in the middle. It's a little bit more patient. And of course, you've got Joaco Cañas at the back. He's experienced, but he's also got outstanding leadership qualities. So he's going to have to really try to keep the 4 intact. He's going to have to make sure that the players in front of him are organised and trying to stop Kaya from playing in and around, because Kaya don't go direct very often. And it's going to be about whether or not they're sharp enough to keep up with the ball movement. And that's going to need a lot of experience from Joaco at the back.
You know, Darren, I know we talked shop a lot here, but I hope IE learned a lot, because this is not really her sport. But I think that we taught her a bit here. You look at all the names that we mentioned, and maybe and all of that so far. Is there any player in particular that we didn't talk about that you think would be a star in the semifinals going into tomorrow's games?
Well, I think it's going to be 2 very different semi-finals. The first, which is ADT against Stallions. I think the tempo will be really, really, really high in that game.
Yeah.
It could be end-to-end. Whereas I think Kaya will be a little bit more strategic when they're playing against Cebu. As we have to remember, Cebu are good. They're just a little bit unknown.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping for Philippine football that one of the players from Cebu, not saying who it could be, just really steps up and shows us, you know, something, and perhaps adds a little bit of a surprise element into a semi-final, which a lot of people will say, well, Kaya are going to win that easily. So, I mean, yeah, I'd like to go with one of the underdog players from Cebu to step up and show the passion that they're representing Cebu and bringing, you know, some provincial football, yeah, which is established in a lot of areas, and really showing, yeah, we're here, we can compete.
I like how you didn't mention any names and didn't want to put pressures on anyone, but then I have a feeling you already have someone in mind. And you know what? Let's see whether or not that is the case tomorrow. Darren, thank you very much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you here.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.